My name is Minnie Moll. I'm the Joint Chief Executive of the East of England Co-op, based just outside Ipswich. But this is very much my own personal story that is being covered by Archant today. It's a story that I am telling for the first time ever about the fact that I was sexually abused as a child. My story is that I had an otherwise really idyllic childhood growing up at Pin Mill, just outside Ipswich, on a Thames barge. The man who sexually abused me was a man called Alfie. My parents were kind enough to let him live in one of the rooms on the barge. There's a separate room at the front on a barge called the forecastle. And they gave him this space to live, and he was sort of part of our extended family. Looking back on it, I think he will have been opportunistic, and he will have used times when my parents were away, when he was looking after us. He first got me to go and visit him in the forecastle by saying he was going to show me things. He did magic tricks, he had sweets, he told stories, and he started sexually abusing me. And it was for over a year. It was between a year to 2 years. And I don't ever remember him actually particularly threatening me in any way that I mustn't tell, but I absolutely could not tell. He manipulated me in ways, and I just knew I couldn't tell. And what actually happened finally was that I started getting ill. I started getting really, really crippling stomach pains, in and out of the doctors. No one knew what was wrong. And then in the end I was admitted to hospital in Ipswich, and I was there for a couple of weeks having lots of tests. And looking back on it now, despite all the kind people who asked me what was wrong with me, that were trying to get me to talk, I didn't ever say anything. I didn't tell anyone. And when I was finally discharged from the hospital, the doctors said there is nothing physically wrong that we can find. We believe this is psychosomatic and is being caused by some sort of anxiety and stress. It was not all that long after I'd been in hospital that Alfie actually died from tuberculosis in Ipswich Hospital, and I felt relief. Everyone else was obviously very sad, but I absolutely felt relief. But I still didn't tell anyone. Even when he was dead and I had nothing to be afraid of, I didn't tell anyone. And I think it's the combination that a child feels of shame, blame, somehow guilt, somehow they feel it's their fault. And this, I think, is the really, really wicked thing that an abuser of children does, to make them feel it's their fault. And it is never their fault. The blame, guilt and fault always lies with the perpetrator. I didn't ever tell anyone growing up. I don't think I wanted to burden family with it. Why make them have to address something so awful? Why, particularly with my father, ever let him see how much this man had abused his trust in letting him come and live with us. And so it's only very recently that I've felt ready to talk about it in a positive way. Fresh Start New Beginnings is the only charity of its type in Suffolk, and there isn't anything again in Norwich that does the same. They are specialists in working with children that have been victims of sexual abuse. I've known about Fresh Start New Beginnings for about 5 years, but it's interesting that it's only just now something has just sort of clicked in me, and I felt ready to share my story if it can be of good purpose. I just really want to raise awareness of the work that they're doing, but secondly, really important, I really hope that I can help them raise funds. Currently they have a waiting list. I can't bear that any child could be brave enough to tell someone and then have to wait to get the specialist support that they need, in some awful limbo. That they really do need more money. They need to not have a waiting list. And I really, really hope as well that I can encourage other people to speak out. I personally feel a lightness and a positivity in finally talking about it. And I hope that other people will, but most importantly, I hope that children, I understand how brave you have to be to tell, but if children feel that there is really, really good support there for them, I hope more children will be brave enough to tell and see that they can really get safe and happy again quite quickly after that.